All right, everybody, welcome back. Mondays with Mark Allen. As you probably know, I've had my coaching on TriDot for a while now, and it's just this amazing system. And I wanted to have somebody come on and really talk about what TriDot is. So we have with us today Jeff+Booher, who is the CEO, founder, the brains behind TriDot, and he's actually he's been coaching probably
20
longer than
years.
longer than most coaches out there. 20 years. How did you get into coaching yourself, Jeff?
But it has actually very selfish. I wanted to get better and I didn't want to train as much volume as everyone else was. So I started researching and learning and absorbing everything out there. And then people started asking questions and just kind of did it on the side. And one thing led to another and started coaching.
Wow, 20 years. What kind of athletes have you had over those years as your clients, as your people that you coach and help?
The whole range. Para athlete, we had one in Rio, world #1 there. A lot of collegiate recruitment programs. I worked with Barb Lindquist and that program and had a couple of the top 12 collegiates that ran and were doing draft legal. I coached a junior team. We had, I think, 5 or 6 national champions draft legal there, traveling the country, participating, maybe 12 to 15 pro athletes. Long course, probably 3 or 4 of those were short course, draft legal, ITU. It's not ITU anymore, but and then just hundreds of, and what I love the most is age group athletes. Everything we had, folks that weighed 400 something pounds and just wanted to change their lifestyle and took up the sport and went on to do all kinds of things. You'd never know their healthy lifestyle 2 to 3 years later, but just a ton of age group, elites, and just people who just want that balance, want the lifestyle, and love doing it in the spectrum of a sport, in the context of a sport. So you have the challenge, the competition, the camaraderie, all of that.
Yeah, as you know, I don't coach any professional athletes. I love coaching age group athletes and age group athletes of all levels, whether they're just getting in the sport, whether they've been around for years and years and they're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next thing that I can do? And that was what I was always trying to do in my training and when I was competing was, what's the next thing that can kind of help me to not only get faster, but have a better experience, to optimize my training time? Because, as I sort of aged up in my pro career, I realized I don't necessarily want to spend a gazillion hours a week training. I want to have my training time, but I also want to have family time. I want to have time to keep everything balanced. And I think that's where TriDot has really excelled and is just on the cutting edge of things. Why don't you tell us how that works in TriDot?
Absolutely. Well, we're looking, I had a background in MIS, engineering, software engineering optimization, ran a few other companies kind of in parallel to getting into coaching. And back when one thing led to another and a few people were asking me for training, I started looking at that opportunity. And I was like, man, I can apply this data here. I was researching and found so many people were training based on philosophy or kind of what they had done, whatever they subscribed to. And so for about 5 years, I really just devoured the data and granularized, kind of structured the training. Here's how you optimize it, and did that for about 10 years before I pulled in an engineering team. You mentioned earlier that kind of the brains behind it or something like that. And I started it, but then my secret to success is hiring many, many people that are smarter than I am to take the ball and pass the torch. And so we have a team of 15 engineers. So we have data from more than 75,000 athletes, being able to contextualize that. So we're looking at your genetics, your age and gender. We're equalizing based on that. How is it different for a 64-year-old male compared to a 23-year-old female? How is that? We know that one may recover faster, but how much and what kind of neural stress or threshold stress or what kind of workouts? And so we're using the analytics from that to actually prescribe training for those athletes, so they're able to get better results in less time. And so that's what it started, like I said, for me personally, trying to do that. But then I had more and more people that were using the training plans that I was designing at the time and kind of automating that process back in 2010, and started getting people calling me, telling me, hey, you saved my marriage. Like we were literally on the brink of divorce, training 20+ hours a week. We love the sport, but we're training a third of that, not a third, 30% less than that. We've saved that much. We're actually doing stuff and seeing our kids. And, the old joke of, why Ironman, hugged their kids at the finish line, because I hadn't seen them in 9 months, so being able to to deliver that consistency, but still, scratch the competitive itch, keep getting better, push your limits, but do it more smartly. So it's never been a coach replacement. I think a lot of people, like you mentioned earlier, they get kind of scared about the AI piece. It's meant to augment coaching and help coaches be better, and not replace coaching at all. We've always had coaches from day one. We've had coaches in the program, and athletes can use it with or without a coach. We have the Mark+Allen+Edition, where we have a lot of your video feedback. So you're not working with a dedicated Mark+Allen, though you can do that. But you get all that video content, all that expertise throughout your workouts. So if your budget doesn't allow, you're able to do that, non-coached option, but also can hire a coach. And then it allows the coach, it's a very athlete-centric approach, rather than even from the plan design. The coach is not just saying, here's what I believe, here's what I did, here's my secret sauce, with only based on their experience. We're taking experience of tens of thousands of people, and able to put that. And now the coach is not have their head down in the weeds of the plan every day. They're actually talking with the athlete, being able to know what motivates them, what gives them anxiety, answering questions they don't need to know, or they don't need to know to ask, have relationship and all those human pieces. So it allows the coaches to be much more athlete centric.
Yeah. I've coached this is actually my 30-year anniversary this year.
Happy anniversary.
I've actually been coaching twice as many years as I raced. I raced 15 years professionally. I've been coaching 30 years, and it's mind-boggling. And during that time, I have gone the entire progression. My first client was stuff that I would print out on an Excel sheet and literally mail to the guy. And then, of course, I had some software that was developed that created pretty solid training plans, based on my experience. But, I think that's one of the keys that, since we're involved here together, in this work with evolving TriDot, you have taken so many paradigms and said, okay, how does this, what's the best of everything? And, I've actually been learning some stuff that I didn't even know was probably a better way to optimize training than what I had been doing. We all think we've got the answer to everything, and of course, as a coach, I'm always trying to learn, and being in TriDot has enabled me to see how training plans can evolve as athletes evolve, and to not let pieces fall through the cracks. With all of the data that is generated out of training these days, it's nearly impossible for one human brain to look at everything and go, okay, this is what happened last week, this is what tests are showing, how do we optimize the future? And so I think maybe that's something that you can sort of tell people a little bit more about. How is that AI piece differentiating TriDot, making it top notch, the cutting edge, and also how to not be intimidated by that?
Yeah, well, there's, I guess, a few questions there. Those are the great. One is on the intimidation side. Think about when you go a pilot. Let's look at other professions. One of the things we're trying to do is from the business model, how we approach the market, to how coaches operate. Pilots used to fly in the daytime with clear weather based on landmarks that they could see. Nowadays, they're flying with radar and autopilot and satellites and fuel sensors and all of these other things. So there's that progression. They can fly further, faster, more safely than they could the other way, all manual. And if you were on a plane now, you'd get off the plane if the pilot said, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years and I'm really good at it and gotten good results. So I'm turning off autopilot. We're not using any navigation. I'm just going to wing it. I'm a great coach, or a pilot. But a mechanic, same thing. If you take your car and you expect them to hook them up to machines and diagnostics, you go to a doctor or physician, you expect them to use MRIs and sonograms and all of these tests, and that's not how they used to diagnose 50 years ago, but it is now. And so coaches we're in that phase where we're evolving, and data is doing what only data can do. We've had so many coaches saying there's so much data coming in that I don't even have time to look at it, for one. And even if I did look at it, I would have no idea what to do with it. It's just, and that's not what people are going to relate and make decisions, all these kind of things, but they can't synthesize data. They can't equalize it. You can't look at everyone's genetics. So differentiating, we have about 7 different things there's about 12 or more, but easily communicatable. One is the genetics piece. So we can pull in, and it's not optional. Everyone doesn't have to give their genetics, but most do. We're able to look at 23 different genes and look at your injury predisposition, your recovery rate, your trainability. How do you respond to training? What is your potential? What should we expect? So we have that. We're able to look at those things and know how much can we push in many different ways, and neural stress and threshold stress and aerobic stress and muscular stress, and over a mesocycle, a microcycle, in an individual session. So a coach can't do that. One is the coaches, the more intimately, there's this paradox, the more intimately a coach knows an athlete, the fewer athletes they coach. Mm-hmm. So now everyone's different. They don't have many of the same athletes. But then the more they have, if they have 100 athletes and they're just churning out plans, well, they don't know them intimately. They don't know the context of anything that they did. They don't know what was potential. They don't know like that, the genetics. Another thing that we do is environment normalization. And so that environment normalization is looking at the effects, the physiological and the physical effects of temperature, humidity, elevation. So if you work out in the morning, you go out for a run, you say, my tempo run is at a 7:30 pace. You go, oh crap, I got some work to do. I can't do that until 4 PM when it's 20 degrees warmer and a lot more humid. What athlete knows how to adjust and how much to adjust their pace? So they're going to go out and overcook. They're going to do too hard, or if they back off too much, they're not going to get their quality at the end because they didn't push them hard enough. With environment normalization, we're automatically prescribing that. We're adjusting based on your location. If you go indoors, outdoors, on the trainer, or outside, or on hills, we're terrain normalizing. So as you're running on hills, we're looking at your cadence and your pace and your weight and your incline and all that. So we can compare not only you throughout the season as it gets warmer or time of day, but athletes across the world. We can, if you're not doing that, you can't compare what an athlete in Colorado is doing in their training compared to an athlete in Florida on the flats. And so only with that technology are you able to normalize and correlate cause and effect when you take into account the weather. So we're looking at weather, looking at genetics. We have training stress is another thing that we have proprietary way of measuring that with normalized training stress, and that's particular to the person. So we're able to look at that, and some people are, I don't want to get in the weeds too much, but TSS, we have an article out there on predictive.fit website about optimized training where they can read through all of these. We have hour-long web podcasts digging into each one, and love the questions, but how you quantify that training stress matters. If you're doing a workout for 30 minutes, the second half of the 30 minutes is much more stressful than the first half of the 30 minutes. So there's this exponential relationship between duration, as the longer you're at an intensity, and also intensities are not linear. 10% harder is not 10% more stressful. It's exponentially more stressful. And then with age, we have equalization. It's another thing. When we're looking at age and gender, equalizing for that is a kind of an easy to understand word. But if you think about an untrained male and a female, an untrained 30-year-old male is about 30% more powerful on average than an untrained female. But as they start training and gain fitness, that gap narrows to about 10%. Just lung capacity, muscle, all of the different things that are different physiologically. But that changes based on your age, based on the duration of the activity. Longer activities, women and men are more close. As you age, is different by discipline. So there's a multidimensional aspect of how do you relate that. And if you don't have that equalization, the environment normalization, the physiogenomics, that genetics component, the normalized training stress, if you're not quantifying all of those, there's so much noise in your raw training data that you can't make sense of it. You don't know what's genetics, what's age, what's body composition, what's environment, what's terrain. All of that's unaccounted for. So how in the world could you associate cause and effect and prescribe training based on trial and error without accounting for those things? And that's just something a human can't do, but technology can.
Well, I have to say, you just made me feel like I was a really bad coach for 29 years. There were all those things that I knew went into what in the end would have the result of how my training was helping athletes out, but I didn't have any way to adapt for it. So somebody at altitude, I didn't know how to adjust their training compared to somebody at sea level. And every athlete that I coached had wintertime and summertime, and a lot of places, especially East Coast, it's really cold in the summer, in the summer. So how was I supposed to adjust their training based on those weather metrics? And so anyway,
but you can't, and that I think that's kind of the evolution of our sport. And there's a lot of, all coaches can do is do what every other profession did, is lose the ego, adapt the technology. We're not this is not Jeff+Booher training. This is something that we're learning together collaboratively. I know you're in on with our coach community, very vibrant coaching community. We're sharing our best practices and our learning and our expertise and making it better and better for all coaches. We did some work on the data science side with Northwestern University, and they launched a thing called Artificial Intelligence in Medicine. There was the Institute for Artificial Intelligence Medicine. All the physicians freaked out, artificial intelligence, you're replacing us and all this stuff. And they said, no, it's complementary. So they renamed it Augmented Intelligence in Medicine. And oh, okay, you're augmenting what we're doing. All right, we're in. So the same mission, the same objective, but it's when coaches are able to see and say, okay, well, we're evolving here. This is new. It wasn't available before. It is now. So, how do we adapt that? How do we make it better? And in honesty, in our conversations for the last year or more since we've been working together, I can't tell you how many times we've jumped on a call, and you with our data science team, our engineer team. Hey, what about this? What about that? How about doing this? And we've enhanced many things that we've done, through your input as well as other coaches. So, nothing's written in stone. The more you learn, the more you realize you need to learn. And so we just try to keep raising the bar and serving our coaches and serving our athletes.
Yeah, for me, that's one of the great things that TriDot has, is it's definitely a we company. You and I have collaborated on a lot of ideas. You've explained some of your paradigms. I've explained some of mine. We've tested stuff and seen like, okay, that works perfectly. This is the way we can enhance it with something else. And, it's kind of similar to, your airplane analogy, but, years ago, like driving a car, you had to shift the car, to get from your house to the grocery store. You had to shift it. You had to do the braking. You had to look and make sure nobody was coming and do all the judgment to make sure you weren't changing lanes and hitting somebody. Now you step on the gas and the little blinker thing in your rear view mirror is telling you if somebody's too close. I mean, all that stuff. And so, for me as a coach, and the athletes are seeing this too, the genius behind TriDot is that this is the machine that the coaches are using. Like the car is the machine we use for transportation. TriDot's AI, its augmented intelligence, is the machine of the coach. Coaching is it's a very intellectual process in a sense. There's not a gearing or anything that we use. So this is, for me, it's such a great project to be behind, company to be working with, to be a part of. And you've got a lot of cool things that have been taking place. Like, so, I came on about a year ago, and all of a sudden it seems like TriDot has exploded. People are asking me about it. New coaches have come on. McKeely Jones came on. More recently, we brought on Tim and Rennie. And I have to say, I coached for 29 years before I actually had this kind of tool and platform to help me be a better coach. Tim and Rennie coming on, getting their feet wet first and foremost with TriDot. That's a huge advantage and learning curve for them as they start to build their coaching business as well, I think.
Yeah, it's been great. They had an overwhelming response. So it lets them, build that relationship and create the community. There's a lot of athletes that want that one-on-one. A lot of them want to be part of the community. A lot of them, vibe with different types of coaches with different focuses, different expertises, but we're all out there, pitching in together and growing and learning. And we've had several others. I'm, super excited and honored to have them, join us.
One thing that's taken place this year, as everybody knows, is that the Ironman World Championship will be in 2 locations. And one of the biggest things that's going to, I think, change is having all women's race in Kona, and next year all women's race in Nice, and to support the number of women who will be probably for the first time qualifying for Kona. Tell us about our Team Kona initiative.
Yeah, well, I was super excited about that. You and Scott, I don't know whose brainchild it was, but it was amazing. And he pitched it several months ago. We started talking that it's like you said, this is the first time. Even last year we had a women's day, but they didn't field the whole field. So now we're fielding the whole field with only women. Most prior, Kona experiences for men or women, a big portion of the field has been there before. And so there's a smaller portion of them that are learning. So this time there's a lot of new people, brand new people that are going to be able to qualify. So Team Kona, super excited to partner with you on that. Appreciate you leading that effort and having the passion just to help. So it's athletes, coaches. If you're a TriDot athlete using the Mark+Allen+Edition or higher, working with any coach, we're going to have all of these extra community swag stuff on site in Kona to be a part of, Q&A webinars, all kind of educational pieces. I know with you and McKeely and Tim and Rennie and people with experience at Kona, and again, not to exclude all of our other coaches, several hundred of them can, they're athletes and they're going to be contributing, being a part of that community. So any woman that's pursuing qualification can join and be a part of that. Once you're actually qualified, then you get some extra perks and things, swag and kit and different things. So just encourage everyone to check that out. I guess if there'd be a link or somewhere where we can put that link on the video so they can learn more about that.
Oh yeah, the link will be there. Yes, Scott Zagarino, my business partner in Mark+Allen Sports, came to me about a month ago or maybe longer, and he said, there's going to be a lot of women who are thinking about qualifying for the first time, who know that when there were less slots available, they probably didn't have a chance, but now they do. And that's actually intimidating to think about, and so as you know, we came up with this idea to have TriDot be the place where where women can get that support to go for that dream, to see what they can do, and if they've qualified, to really get them ready, not only physically, but also give them just those insider tips that folks like myself, let's see, I did Ironman once or twice. And so anyway, I learned a bunch of stuff that, I'll be sharing along with the top coaches who have a lot of experience there. Super cool. Jeff, anything else that TriDot's got cooking? Where do you see Mark+Allen+Edition, TriDot going in the future?
I see it really changing the sport. One is it's lowering the barrier for entry. So a lot of people come in and they use a template plan, or they get injured, they have struggle. We're able to help them move along, progress, stay healthy, do it on a reasonable time allotment every week. So they're able to race more often, stay healthy, progress more. I think that's super cool. We have TriDot Pool School. So we're making that to where people can increase their swim ability, get over that. If they don't have a background in swim, no matter what level. I know you came in, I think, with 100 time at 110, dropped to 104. We've had that at every level. So people, over 2 minutes, dropping 30, 40 seconds per 100. So massive improvement, where we have, I think, 12 cities across the US now were those. So helping people swim, people that want to even, come in, they hear about the team Kona, the women, they were working with another coach. Great. We welcome other coaches, bring them on. Let's talk about that, and love to share the opportunity with TriDot and how it can help those coaches. So we're open and embracing all athletes of all abilities, coaches, anyone. So just super excited about the growth and how much we're able to create an environment that's very, very collaborative. Coaches, athletes, learning from each other and pushing each other forward.
And it's a huge community. And as you all know out there who are listening and watching, community is such a big benefit of the sport of triathlon. It's a great community of people who are just excited to be healthy, see what they can do, challenge themselves a little bit, and live a lifestyle that is truly a lifestyle. And with TriDot, as Jeff has emphasized, it really helps you to keep everything balanced, because your training is optimized. There's not wasted time. Each workout has a purpose. You'll understand what the purpose of each workout is, and it's all designed around you and where you're at and where you're going. So if you haven't checked it out before, check out TriDot. Jeff, thank you so much for taking time today. I know you got a lot of projects going, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Mark.
All right, Mondays with Mark Allen. I hope we'll see you all on TriDot. All you women going to Kona, I hope we will see you there, and have a great Monday. Take care.